want to take a chance to introduce you to a couple friends of mine from Stil'rs Chalk Talk, Randy Tantlinger and Mike McMahon, who actually played football at Rutgers and in the NFL. Thanks for coming on today, guys.
Hey, wait a minute. I sat on the left bench at Pitt. You know, Mike's always getting all the accolades. Oh, he was a quarterback in the NFL. Oh, he's really cute and good looking and smart. I got to sit next to the mascot at the bench at Pitt, you know, Andy.
There you go. I didn't want to overwhelm Mike with your accolades, so I kind of went, gave him first dibs at giving the audience some side bits about what you guys do. But anyways, thanks for coming on today. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Just from a layman's perspective, when I watched that game last Thursday night, some of the things that stuck out to me was I thought, man, Justin Layne was the dud again. Did you guys feel like he was he seemed to give up like 3 or 4 catches from what I remember, and I just think that the more they hope that he improves, I just don't see it in him.
Yeah, he's not been stepping up. They had high expectations for him. They really did, and he has not been stepping up by any means. And so, I mean, at that free safety, strong safety, that whole defensive backfield, slot corner, with the exception of Joe Hayden and Minkah Fitzpatrick, there's a lot of jobs up in the secondary right now, and that of course includes Layne.
Yeah, I thought James Pierre didn't play as good either. Like, did you guys notice? Like, I was hoping that he would play better, but it seemed like he really didn't have a stellar game as well.
Well, I didn't really notice him so much. I do know with the Justin Layne thing, they still have a little bit of time with him. They have Joe Hayden in front of him right now. So they kind of have that one more year, and we know how long they gave Artie Burns an opportunity to perform. And so I think they're going to give him maybe that extra year, try and sit there and learn a little bit. Again, he's got that big body, a long corner that can cover some of those bigger receivers, which you see a lot of guys are coming to. So they might give him one more opportunity to sit and learn a little bit from behind Joe Hayden, and we'll see if he can step it up a little bit.
Did you guys notice that Robert Spillane seemed to struggle in space in that game as well? Because that was what my eyeball was telling me. I thought, oh, my, looked like he was caught in flux a couple times on those short passing routes.
Achilles heel is the inside linebacker position. You've got Bush coming back, and if he steps up to the same level that he was playing at before the injury, outstanding. But you're looking at an Achilles heel, I think, really, with that inside linebacker spot. You know, everybody keeps talking about Ulysses Gilbert, number 54. It's his time to shine. It's his time to shine. I'm not seeing it. And when you look at the way the depth chart goes right now, at the right inside linebacker, you got Spillane, your kid Marcus Allen, and then who knows? If Devin Bush goes down again, they've really got a problem at inside linebacker. And it's so important with this flex defense that they're playing now, that Spillane specifically, look, we know he's a snot knocker. When he filled in last year, he was a snot knocker, and that's primarily what you want from an inside linebacker. Somebody that can take on those guards, get off the guard, and knock the crap out of the running back or quarterback. But in this flex defense, and Mike's read NFL defenses his whole career, with this new flex defense that Tomlin likes to run, he's got to be able to drop into pass coverage and figure out what's going on immediately.
But again, Randy, Spillane last year was a good patch-up for the defense. He's not a guy that you want in there starting every down. They had some injuries. He came in and did a nice job, and it was a surprisingly nice job. But I feel as if they didn't really address that position enough, because, again, one injury away, if Bush goes down early in the season, now you're forced to ride him throughout the entire season, and they're going to get crushed on the run game.
What have you guys seen from Devin at training camp? Anything that, obviously, I haven't been out to training camp. My partner, Jeff Brown, was out for yesterday for media day. But have you guys seen anything with Devin Bush with his knee? How's his lateral movement look? Have you been able to ascertain any gut feelings on what you think his percentage will be compared to before the injury?
He seems to be taking it slowly. he's a Tasmanian devil. I mean, that's when he was a splash player his rookie season, coming up with interceptions, fumbles. One of the things about an inside linebacker, there's an old saying, he seems to find the ball. He can find the football. But at this point, it seems like he's a little tentative and taking it slow in there. So we're going to find out real quickly here when the Steelers head up to Buffalo, the condition of young Mr. Bush.
Right.
Yeah, and plus with the torn ACL, when you come back from that, as long as there's no cartilage damage as well, I think guys are coming back quicker than normal. I had an ACL, MCL, and meniscus issue, and I remember when I came back from the injury, I had like a little bit of a nagging issue, but it was because I had chunked off the entire cartilage, and then I had a little bit of bone on bone. So as long as the cartilage is intact, he should be fully go. And in that ACL, the way they tie those up now, sometimes they do a cadaver, sometimes they do a hamstring graft, sometimes they do a patellar tendon, which is the strongest. And then my doctor myself, he actually took my patellar tendon and then double wrapped it with a cadaver, so it double reinforces the ACL. So you actually can come back stronger from it as long as the cartilage is intact. So he just got to feel for the game when he's out there and running around and see if it is holding up for him. It's more of a confidence issue in his head.
Have you guys noticed anything with Buddy Johnson? I mean, he didn't get, he got a little bit of playing time Thursday night, but do you see anything there that he will be more than a serviceable linebacker in the future?
I'm really not seeing anybody step up. And again, going back to Ulysses Gilbert, this was supposed to be his year to shine. He looked like a deer lost in headlights as well, like Spillane did the other night. So right now, somebody's got to step up. Maybe it's Marcus Allen. Maybe it's time for him to step up. Now, he's a little bit undersized. If he's weighing 225 soaking wet with pads on, I'd be shocked. But no, nobody is really sticking out. And I played ball with Jerry Osowski, at PITT, the inside linebackers coach, and I'm really hoping to get to talk to Jerry at some point in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, because Cassius Marsh also isn't a real option, is he? I mean, I see him on the field and I go, ugh, just another retread in my book.
Mike, are you excited about Cassius Marsh in any way?
No, and again, they've got some young guys, and it's going to take some time. And obviously, with the first preseason game, it was kind of like a mock preseason game because Dallas didn't really have many guys playing for them. So as the way Pittsburgh did as well, but I think the offensive guys for Pittsburgh, they had a few more of their skill guys playing. So it's just so hard to tell in that type of a game, and it kind of came on so quick. Now again, it's a great opportunity for coaches to evaluate the players, but I think once you get into the second and the third preseason game, that's where you'll start to know. And that's with the 4 preseason games that we used to have. I don't know how the teams are going to handle it this year. I'm sure the first and second, the first one maybe get your feet wet a little bit. The second one will kind of be like the old third preseason game. And then I would expect the third preseason game of the season for most teams that is just all rookies and they're just kind of testing out a few final guys and resting all their starters. So again, it's kind of hard to tell with this first game because it's an extra preseason game that both Pittsburgh and Dallas had that other teams aren't having.
Right. One last question for the defense, and we'll flip it over to the offense. Do you guys have any ideas as far as what injury Tuitt is battling? And then let's just parlay that into your thoughts on TJ and when that contract might be done, and do you expect it to be done before the regular season starts, hopefully?
Well, that's funny because Mike and I talked about that a little bit last week with Tuitt. As you know, his brother passed away, and he looks a little bit heavy right now. What you see at camp is this. You see Stephen Tuitt and you see Mr. T.J. Watt just going through some minor stretching drills and cone drills throughout practice together. It looks like his legs are fine. It may be a heart, he may be not mentally right from his brother passing away, but he does look overweight. He does look overweight.
Yeah, Randy, you were extremely excited about him this offseason and talking about this is going to be his year, but you did mention to me, because I haven't had a chance to get down to the camp yet, but you did mention to me that he did seem a little overweight and he has some work to go.
Sounds like a Lamar Woodley back in the day, where all of a sudden he just kind of puffed up a little bit, and then the ankle injuries and things followed him. And Tuitt's a guy that I always want more from. No matter what he gives us, I always think he's capable of more, especially for the money they're paying him.
Andy, that was like one of my pet peeves last year. Mike, the quarterback, kept saying, I heard you. I don't want to hear it anymore. I kept saying, Tuitt needs to step up. Now, look, he had a lot of sacks last year. I forget what it was. I don't have the stats in front of me, 10, 11, 12, something like that. But you have to take into consideration who was playing to the left of him, T.J. Watt.
Well, you have T.J. Watt, you had, Bud Dupree in there, and you have Cam Hayward, and then you have Tyson Alualu every once in a while. And so who are they going to double? They're trying to double team Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt before Dupree got out. So you need your inside guys to step up and get sacked. So he needs to do that, especially when you have those two guys on the outside. And now Dupree's gone. They got Melvin Ingram in there, and they still have Highsmith. So Tuitt definitely needs to step up and fill that role, because T.J. Watt's going to be the one getting the double team this year.
And it wasn't the last year we had the cream puff schedule. This season we've got the Motordrome death schedule in front of us. What was that thing with who was the I don't know what it was. Back in the 80s there was a crazy movie with Kurt Russell with all kind of people trying to kill him. That's what this schedule for the Steelers
Escape
is
from New York,
like.
I think it was.
Yeah, Escape from New York. This is going to be Escape from the NFC NFC this year, and the AFC. Bottom line is they've got their work cut out for him, and Stephon Tuitt needs to be at his best. And right now, I'm telling you, he does not look at his best.
Right. And that dovetails into T.J. Watt. Like, my thought last week on the show was I was asking Zach and Jeff Brown, would you spend this $30 million a year on T.J. Watt with the state of the Steelers are being a little bit in flux? We don't know what we're going to get from Ben. We don't know if he has a good year, if that means he's coming back next year. Or are they going to really start rebuilding? So would you be better served as an organization to shuffle all that money around to 3 or 4 players, or throw it all to one star that no matter what, still can only impact the game in certain manners, and in his 2 playoff games has come up pretty small. I mean, I know it's a small sample size, but no sacks, no fumble recovery. So I was playing devil's advocate and saying that's a lot of money for that position now, and what are you doing if you own the Steelers?
Were you drinking before we came on air, Andy?
No, why?
Were you down at the pub drinking?
No, I'm on that.
Get rid of TJ.
I'm on that medication. I'm on that medication, but I'm just saying that's a lot of money. $30 million a year is a lot of money for someone, who can be game planned away from or whatever, especially when you might need 4 or 5 new pieces to put together moving forward if you're going to rebrand and, retool your offense.
I completely understand it. I completely understand it because, a lot of people last year, they were talking about how T.J. Watt should be Defensive Player of the Year. And I think he's a great defensive player, but I think his season was going very well because of what Bud Dupree was doing on the opposite side. Early on in the year, Bud Dupree was getting that double team, and that was allowing T.J. to have that one-on-one type thing and that matchups. And then once Bud went down, his numbers dropped off significantly. So I'm not saying he's not good, but when it came time for Defensive Player of the Year, I was definitely on the Aaron Donald side because that's a guy that he has to get double teamed every play, and he's still making tackles. He's getting triple teamed. So T.J. Watt, again, like you said, it's one side. It'll depend on how Highsmith does this year, stepping up. And again, he's a staple of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense or Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and I don't think they can just let him go. I think they will try to work a deal. They have to figure out a way to work in the money and then give him some guarantees up front so he maybe takes a little bit less and spread it out over some money over time.
Yeah, I did never for one second consider that the Steelers won't re-sign him because I know how they operate. I was just saying, you can always benefit from looking at things from the different perspective. And then, so do you guys think he's probably going to play not practice or play at all in the preseason, and that contract gets done, right before opening day? Is that what they're shooting for? I mean, can't be great for you to not get out there and practice. I mean, I know you don't play and risk him a lot for injury during these games anymore, but you still think he would want to be suited up and taking some bumps and stuff at practice before the season starts?
I think he eats raw meat every morning with red sauce on it and is ready to go at a moment's notice with him.
Yeah, I think T.J. Watt's the type of a player that he brings the work ethic. He's always going to be prepared. I'm sure he's probably doing some drills out there a little bit here on the side, but, he's making sure he's not going to get hurt. But it's a situation where that guy, he's always ready. And it's not like if he gets his contract, he's going to back it down a little bit. Like some guys will get their big payday, and then all of a sudden you see a little fall off. They start going, I don't have to work as hard. I already got paid. He's the type of guy that he'll just continue pushing forward. And so I think they will work a deal done. Again, it's just going to be about the guaranteed money. I think they could get it done, spread it out over time, but just guarantee that money over like a long period of time. You saw the way Josh Allen just got money, and he's got 150 guaranteed, and it's a $285 million contract. So as long as they just structure it properly, that's what they'll just come to agree to terms on. And I think he will be out there by the time the first game comes.
And you've got to factor in with that, Cam Hayward is getting towards the end of his rope. Tyson Alualu was out of here, and fortunately we got him back this year. And again, we were just talking about Stephon Tuitt is a big question mark this year. So you could potentially have a situation next year. I'm not saying Cam Hayward's going to retire. I have no idea what's going to happen with Alualu. I have no idea what condition with Stephon Tuitt. You could all of a sudden next year be in a situation where you're scrambling and you're calling Henry Mondu or whatever his name, your defensive tackle.
Isaiah Buggs.
Guess what?
And
he was my sleeper. Guess what? He's my sleeper, Andy.
Who's the kid that they drafted this year that they traded a 4th-round pick to draft him in the 5th round?
Oh, who was that? I forget who that was, but you hit my bugaboo with Isaiah Buggs. This guy's going to get some playing time this year. I'll put $5 in a cup and hold it in a jar for you, Andy, right now. There's something about him this year. I don't know whether he's been under the tutelage of Tyson Alualu, whether he's been watching T.J. Watt. Isaiah Buggs is throwing people around. His feet are moving. He's looking great. And if you look at the game the other night against Dallas, I know it was their second-team players, but he had that bogus call on a late hit on a quarterback. He was almost there for the sack. He made some penetration. So keep an eye on Isaiah Buggs this year, and we'll see what he does as the season progresses. Isaiah Buggs this year, and we'll see what he does as the season progresses. Isaiah Buggs this year, and we'll see.
Well, let's flip it over to the offense and talk quarterback. I mean, earlier on, I believe you referenced that you thought you guys were talking before we got on together and that you think Mason is the odd man out. I mean, when I eyeballed that game Thursday night, I didn't see anybody really stand out. I saw both guys, check down, which I guess is Haskins' new nickname, a la Mike Tomlin. But Mason, he was a victim of the, Claypool alligator arm that would have extended the drive. So I didn't see anything that made me think Mason was not on par to still be the second-string quarterback. And then Dobbs came in and made some completions and, got the score at the end, albeit going against the Cowboys' third and fourth stringers. So what are you guys seeing that makes you think that depth chart might get flipped around sometime before the end of the preseason?
Well, I agree. I don't really feel as if Mason Rudolph has lost the job so much, but I think Randy made up a good point as far as the contract situation. Randy, if you want to chime in, I didn't realize the numbers were this far off. Maybe if Mason Rudolph, if the Steelers feel Mason Rudolph is that far ahead of Josh Dobbs, then I can see them keeping Mason because, Ben is, he's getting banged up here and there, throughout the past few seasons. And so you need someone that's going to step in and keep the offense running. But if they're close in comparison as far as talent-wise, Randy had a great point as a reason why Mason Rudolph might be out. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, they're paying Jobs league minimum at $850,000, and they're all in like around $3 million for Rudolph. So when you factor that in right now, okay, who's playing better? Are they just about the same? I don't think Mason Rudolph makes it this roster this year because, as we just said, we've got some other spaces right now that they've got to fill a gap in. Is that inside linebacker? Is it defensive tackle behind Stephon Tuitt? I don't think Mason Rudolph makes it out of camp, not only in regards to the salary, but we saw him miss that basic throw across the middle at the linebacker depth to his good buddy, the Fred Biletnikoff winner, Mr. Washington. That was a no-brainer that he leads. How many times has he thrown that past him over the last 5 years? And he missed
Randy's
it.
Always hardest on the quarterbacks.
Well, hey, you guys are supposed to be the pretty good guys and the team leaders, Mikey. No, I am hard on the quarterbacks, and I've seen Rudolph miss some throws down at Heinz Field with nobody in his face. But I would put another $5 in the Mason Rudolph jar that he's not going to make it out of camp.
I just wonder if they say if Ben goes down with his typical knee sprain or ankle injury and he's down for 3 games in a row, can they count on Josh Dobbs and Dwayne Haskins to go 2-1 or whatever it is to carry them? And the fact that Mason's the only one of the 3 that really has NFL experience and winning. I mean, Haskins really much didn't move the winning culture forward at all in Washington. So I wonder what that thought process there would be. Yeah, it's $3 million, but do we need someone who can carry us through a ligament sprain or something like that and be a spot starter for us?
And that would be the argument. Mason Rudolph does have a little bit more playing experience. I know Josh Dobbs, he's considered a rocket scientist. He's a fairly smart quarterback. And the only thing I could see that maybe the Steelers are tempted to keep him a little bit over that besides the money situation would be his mobility. And with the new offense with Matt Canada, bringing that college-style offense, maybe adding some read option in specific plays for Josh Dobbs because he does have that mobility where he can get outside and run. So I would be curious to see if that would help them. Now, again, if Ben's going down for the whole season, and they got rid of Rudolph, I would imagine they were going to make a trade and try and bring someone in. But if it's just a 2 or 3 game span, I could see where they're going to try and let Josh Dobbs run with it, and then and still they're going to try and develop Dwayne Haskins. You saw how he played last year. He had too many turnovers, and that's the one thing if you're going to have a guy come in and fill in for those 1 or 2 games or 3 games, you got to have him be more of a game manager. And the way Jameis Winston said not too long ago, be Bruce Wayne. You don't always need to be Batman. So don't do anything special. Just kind of be the game manager. Let Najee Harris give him the football, run the ball 20, 25, 30 times a game, and just try and come out, keep the game close and win it at the end by a field goal as opposed to letting Dwayne Haskins go out there and slinging the ball around. So, again, I think they could get by 2 or 3 games, but a full season, that's where they would have the question about what they're going to do at the quarterback position if Ben was out.
Right, and I know a lot of people talk about how Najee is supposed to take the pressure off Ben and with a balanced running game is going to open up the passing game. But earlier in the season on the show, I said I look at it the exact opposite. I think if they come in and they can't throw the ball down the field any better than they did last year, Najee's not going to be any more successful running the ball because they're just going to stack the box, and we already know the struggles that they're going to have, getting this offensive line to gel together. They need to open up the pass down the field, and I think that will help their ability to run the ball and make the offense more balanced. But I know a lot of people think it's the other way around, that the running game is going to open up the passing game. What do you guys think?
Well, I believe it helps both. And, last year, you got to the point where it was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and they're in the empty backfield, and Ben's in the shotgun, and Ben doesn't move the way he has in the past few years, the way he did it early in his career. So everyone knew in the stadium that he's not going to run the ball. So now the defensive line can just pin their ears back, rush to the quarterback, and they became one-dimensional last year. They were throwing it so much. So when you become one-dimensional, it's easy for a defense to take away that deeper pass down the field because they're going to say, hey, look, let them throw the short stuff, keep everything in front of you. And so what happens is when you do allow those different run sets, bring different backfields in, bring the fullback in, use a tight end, utilize that play-action pass, that's a weapon for quarterbacks to have. It's a weapon for offensive linemen to have, because now the offensive linemen, the D linemen have to think, oh, okay, he might hand the ball off here. Whereas last year, they just pinned their ears back and rushed to that one spot because they were empty so many times. So that made it harder for the offensive linemen on the pass pro. But now the D linemen have to worry about a run game, have to worry about Najee Harris, running the ball or cutting back, or, maybe a little play action pass. The linebackers suck up. When you get that run game going, now it gets the linebackers in, gets the safeties in. Now you can get those post routes, those deep dig routes in behind the linebackers or over the safeties on the posts. And that's what happens with the run game. So it's a little bit of both. You have to be able to be tempted to go up top. Now, as long as Ben has the arm strength. He just needs to get the ball out on time. Early in his career, he was able to sit back there and do some pump fakes, run around, make some guys miss, and then still had the arm strength to get it out there. But that's not – the older you get and your arm is not as strong, as long as you just go back 5, in rhythm, 5 hitch and throw. Don't be double hitching, triple hitching back there. You won't be able to get Claypool and Deontay Johnson are going to outrun your arm. So, but if you get back, hit that back step, hitch into your throw, he has plenty of arm to get it down the field. And the perfect example is you look at the way Tom Brady played last year. His arm strength has completely dropped off, but he gets the ball out on time. And what helps Tom Brady is the play action pass. He did it with the New England Patriots, and then you saw Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they were with Jameis Winston, they threw the ball a lot more. But now when they brought Brady in last year, they had Leonard Fournette, Thomas Jones. They started using the play action pass, the run game, and it complements each other. And to me, a well-balanced team is far more effective than the team that just go out there and huck it around. Obviously, you look at the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, they've got 2 great quarterbacks with amazing arms, and they have that ability where they have the talent on the outside, where they have so many weapons. But when it gets down to playoff football, and especially, you'll notice the officials are always real ticky-tacky early in the season with the pass interference, the illegal contact, and that's why the offensive numbers kind of seem to go up. But once the playoffs come, the officials let the defense go, and a lot of those passing teams, the way the Kansas City Chiefs, when they lost to the Patriots, 3 years ago, they get beat up off the line of scrimmage, and they're not calling that as many much. So the teams that can run the football and be more balanced are going to be more effective. And I think with Najee Harris coming in Matt Canada's offense, as far as different offensive sets, different backfields, motions, it makes the defense have to think a little bit more, as opposed to, all right, hey, they're going to throw the ball. Let's just keep it in front of us.
Mike, I couldn't agree with you more. And I can tell you this. Randy, in comparison from what I've seen so far, Randy Fichtner's offense was a third grader playing checkers. Matt Canada is Ivan Spassky. If you remember Ivan Spassky, the great chess player who played Bobby Fischer up there in Iceland. Are you following me, Andy?
I'm a chess wizard, brother. I won the championship in 4th and 5th grade in my elementary school.
So you know who Ivan Spassky is. I'm telling you, Matt Canada's offense, maybe I'm telling something out of school here, but Derek Watt, fullback last year. All the Yunzers across Stil'rs Nation were saying, where's Derek Watt? We're paying him $3 million. Where is he? Guess what? In this Matt Canada offense, he is highly visible.
Yeah, and again,
this guy is going to use all the talents, like Mike was saying about a balanced offense. As long as Ben's arm strength is there, and so far I've seen him make some 25-yard throws right on the dot. That's not 40 yards, but as Mike said, if there's balance, they may have an offense here.
Ben has the arm to get it out there, and typically offensive coordinators like that go ball, that post, completed no deeper than 42 to 45 yards down the field. Now, obviously, you have Mahomes and Josh Allen running around and making these big plays. They got the Tyreek Hills, the Mecole Hardmans, the Stephon Diggs. But if you get it in timing, you look at Tom Brady last year. He had Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, and he wasn't underthrowing guys. He was getting it out on time. And if he didn't, he checked it down or he hit the tight end. Ben just needs to go back to a more pro-style quarterback as opposed to the recess quarterback. Hey, everyone go out, get open, I'll find the guy. He's got to be a little bit more on rhythm, more on time, and I'm sure they're working with him as well, but that play-action pass is what's going to help. You show that ball. If you get that run game going with Najee Harris and he has a couple breakout runs, you'll see those linebackers suck up, and then you'll see the tight end get in behind the linebackers in front of the safeties. And then you'll see Claypool getting behind the safeties if those linebackers come up on those crossing routes. So it's all tied in together. It's much better than the way it was last year, as opposed to, hey, this is recess football. Everyone go out and I'll find whoever's open. It looked like flag football to me last year.
So, pivoting off of Derek Watt, that second running back position, are we seeing Jalen Samuels and Benny Snell maybe playing their last year in Pittsburgh, and they're going to go with McFarland and Ballage? Because I don't know what injury Benny Snell has, but it was never good for him to miss that time. And Jalen Samuels really seemed to have fallen off the depth chart, after he was supposed to be the catch specialist in that 100-yard rushing game the other year against the Patriots.
Yeah, Randy's big time down on Benny Snell, and with Kalen Ballage coming in, he's the guy that I think will step up and take over that little smash mouth role. You'll have Najee Harris as the 3-down back, kind of given most of the stuff, but then in the short yardage, I could see Derek Watt coming in at fullback, Kalen Ballage at that tailback, and kind of a downhill run game. It's maybe a little bigger type body. Benny Snell with the fumble issues, and Randy really does not like him. He's over him, and like you said, Jalen Samuels had a little bit of falling off, and they haven't used him as much. And I think he fit into more of a just a run and shoot type offense where the running back's gonna catch a lot of flare routes, and they're not giving him the opportunity to run the football. So yeah, I would see Kalen Ballage, and I expect McFarland to get a little bit more opportunity as well this year. Randy will go off on Snell on you.
Look, he's a nice kid, but he has no cut step. He has absolutely no cut step. I need a running back that can get up to the hole and go, the A gap is filled. I got to have a cut step. Benny Snell has no cut step, and he drops the ball. He's gone. Jalen Samuels hasn't lived up to whatever he was going to become. So Mike started talking about Kalen Ballage last year. That's a great two-headed hydra there.
Speaking of no cut step, do you remember when the Steelers had Najee Davenport as their kick returner?
Yes.
Do you remember those awful days? He looked like Fred Flintstone back there.
Yeah, right. Well, he had size 14 feet there. That says everything.
Hey, last question. Is Dotson in the doghouse, or is Tomlin just using what he put out in the paper and stuff yesterday about he hasn't earned anything yet, not running with the first team, and giving those snaps to the guy they picked up from the Bears?
I'll let Randy take that one.
Yeah, it's another pet peeve. When I get an onion in my mouth, man, I got to spit it out. I don't know where that first article came from about Kevin Dotson not being in shape. He actually has a V shape to him for a 300-pound guard. Secondly, as far as not working, constantly, him and Chuks Okafor, who's now been handed that all-important left tackle position, constantly are working together. Just simple stuff. A lot of times, Andy, you probably know this too, Mike certainly knows it, when the kicking team's out there going through punts and field goals, guys screw around and sit on their helmets on the sideline. Not Chuks Okafor, not Kevin Dotson. They're over there, they're going through hand movements, foot drills. Kevin Dotson looks in great shape. Now, in regards to Mike Tomlin's comment that came out just yesterday or 2 days ago about he's in the doghouse again and he hasn't done anything to impress me. Tomlin really does a great job, and he's very respectful of media, but sometimes he might be throwing a canard out there. Yes, I said canard. He's throwing a canard out there for the media to hook on that Kevin Dotson's not in shape. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Kevin the Bulldozer Dotson will be your starting guard.
And I was hoping for that because he looked promising in the time that he had to play last year. So when I read some of that stuff and the fact that he hadn't practiced in a little bit, it was a little bit discouraging because I wanted those guys, to get as much playing time together throughout this summer so that when September rolls around, they at least can have the best chance to be successful. So.
Now, the Steelers just picked up a new guard this week, Malcolm Prigion from Ohio State, who's got a good pedigree. He sat out last season. He didn't want to get involved with the COVID with the Browns, and the Browns sent him back. And so we may have picked up a decent guard in Malcolm Prigion from Ohio State. But, again, in regards to Kevin Dotson, maybe I'm seeing it wrong. but he looks in great shape. I call him the bulldozer, Andy, because that's what he is, a human bulldozer. He's as big as one, and he moves people. So, I don't know. I think maybe Tomlin's having a little bit of fun with that, but time will tell. That first week up there against the Buffalo Wings, we'll find out if Dotson's in the starting lineup.
For sure. Well, we got to wrap this up, fellas. Thanks so much for coming on Black and Gold Breakdown today. It's me, Kreider, with Randy Tantlinger and Mike McMahon. Appreciate it, fellas. We got to try to make this a more regular thing, and we can keep all these fans updated on all the inside scoop for the Steelers throughout the season.
Absolutely enjoyed it talking to you, Andy. Mike, not so much. I hate talking to Mike. He's always right.
I'm sure he's thinking the same thing about you.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, Andy. You're a breath of fresh air when I have to deal with Randy every day.
Yeah, we can equal out the hubris between you and me, and then Tank.
For sure.
All right, fellas, have a great rest of your day.
God bless.
Thank you. For sure.
All right, fellas, have a great rest of your day.
God bless.
Thank you. For sure.
All right, fellas, have a great